be our guest. Be our guest. Put our service to the test. Tie your napkin round your neck, sherry, and we provide the rest. Soup du jour, hot hors d'oeuvre. Why, we only live to serve. Try the gray stuff, it's delicious. Don't believe me? Ask the dishes. They can sing, they can dance. After all, miss, this is France. And a dinner here is never second best. Go on, unfold your menu, take a glance, and then you'll be our guest. We our guest, be our guest. Beef ragout, cheese soufflé, pie and pudding on flambé. We'll prepare and serve with flair a culinary cabaret. You're alone and you're scared, but the banquet's all prepared. No one's gloomy or complaining, while the flatware's entertaining. We tell jokes, I do tricks with my fellow candlesticks. Come on and lift your glass. You've won your own free pass to be our guest. If you're stressed, it's fine dining we suggest. Be our guest, be our guest, be our guest.
Welcome. Today in Social Studies 20, we are going to be looking at Louis XIV, a huge icon in French nationalism. We're going to go back to his childhood, at 8 years old. What is it like in France at this time? Well, he became the king at the age of 5. Not a bad age to become king. I don't know if any of you were in a similar situation. He was part of the House of Bourbon. So that's the ruling dynasty. We'll be seeing a few more kings from that very same house. Now, being 5 years old, if you ever tried ruling a country when you're 5, you'll know it's difficult. You need a regent, someone who can run it for you until you are of age and you've been trained to do it yourself. So the French crown was very close with the Catholic Church. They had a fellow named Cardinal Richelieu and later Cardinal Mazarin who were running the show, running the country, while Louis was too young to do so. There was a problem, though, that the French crown was not in a very strong position. Usually it wouldn't be when a 5-year-old is on the throne. Various nobles were fighting and trying to take control and get more power for themselves. In fact, Louis found himself and his mother often under essentially house arrest in the royal palace. And so growing up, he didn't know exactly what he was going to do as king. But one thing he did know was that he wanted to make sure he was never in that position of weakness at the mercy of the nobles again. Taking control. How did Louis take control then? Well, he had some help from those cardinals. Richelieu and Mazarin were very helpful in defeating the rebels and also centralizing power under the crown. So taking away the regional power to make decisions. One of the big steps they took was to ban private armies. Yeah, if every noble with a bit of money is making their own army, that's going to lead to the conditions for a civil war. They wanted just one French army. And as a result of the focus of power and the banning of private armies, France was able to become the key dominant land power in Europe. That's right, they've replaced Spain as the top dog. The challenge was that under Louis XIV, they came to fight a lot of wars, but as you can see from this map, they didn't gain a lot of territory, little teeny pockets. Not that much to show for all these wars that they fought. And we saw Louis say, cool beans, I'm 18, now I get to run my own country. Yeah, when he turned 18, he had control. So culturally, it wasn't just about fighting for Louis. They sponsored art, music, and literature. And perhaps Louis's greatest achievement, long-lasting achievement, was this palace he built at Versailles. It had been just a simple hunting lodge for kings before, and now it was a palace with hundreds of rooms, over 700 rooms. And if you were a noble who was anyone, you wanted to stay there. There was social status accorded with that, but it also meant you were within Louis's realm of spies. His spy network could make sure you weren't up to any kind of tricks to take away power from him. Now, the Catholic Church was a central part of Louis's control. A predecessor of his, Henri IV, who was assassinated, had put in the Edict of Nantes, which allowed toleration of Protestants. Before that, Protestants, they were known as Huguenots in France, were burned at the stake. In fact, their tongues were often cut out so they couldn't give a dramatic speech before they were burned. And so Louis XIV said, no, we can't be having toleration of Protestants. We need to revoke the Edict of Nantes so we can punish those Protestants again. Keep everyone Catholic to unify the country. You can see there that's a beautiful room in Versailles, one of the bed chambers. The Hall of Mirrors is perhaps the most famous room. We'll take a look at a 3D panoramic view of that later. This is the exterior. You can still visit it. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Several students of mine have gone and said it was just incredible. I haven't been, but maybe one day. Now, what was Louis's legacy? Okay, so he had art, music, literature, a big fancy palace to keep control, fought a bunch of expensive wars. Well, what impact did that make? You might have seen he was king for a very, very long time. So even though France wasn't succeeding all that much in these wars, they were the number one superpower for that time. And this put a target on their back. So England and Prussia in particular would often band up against them. Various other German states would gather their forces together to stop Louis from taking over too much land. And it kind of worked. He didn't get all that much. However, with all of the sponsorship of French music, literature, art, France really became kind of the it nation of Europe. Other kings wanted to imitate and build their own Versailles, such as Peter the Great in Russia, as we'll see. Louis was known as the Sun King. He was the embodiment of the sun, a near divine being. He was famed for saying, "L'état c'est moi," I am the state. Pretty gutsy claim. You can see behind me there, that's the Peterhof Palace. It's Peter the Great's impression of it in Russia. However, for the common person outside of the fancy courts of Europe where people were speaking French to be fashionable, like in Russia, for example, French was the main language spoken in the court. The commoners of France suffered greatly. They had to pay the taxes for this. It got so bad that they were asked to melt down their cutlery to make money to pay for the soldiers and all these wars they had to fight. Life was not really good under Louis XIV if you were just a common person. We'll look at the legacy of that in our next lesson, which is about the French Revolution, which in itself might be a spoiler. So now you are going to explore the palace intrigues of Louis XIV in Be Our Guest. Yes, named after that Beauty and the Beast song. We are going to have the all-powerful Sun King as we have this beautiful Baroque party in our class. The nobles will be milling around trying to get royal favor, but there's a traitor in your midst. But if you're the traitor, beware, because there's also a spy in your midst. Your teacher will have instructions on how the simulation will work. Good luck.